So let's talk about the LGBT stuff. And I actually love that your sister's here because there's a lot of different, there's some questions I want to ask about that. The first is this shirt right here is different folks kissing, and Latinos, different genders. And so can you talk to me about like the concept?
Yeah, so the concept behind that, I want to start with, we call it Amor Sagrado, because I was very adamant on making a shirt that was representative of queer love, but also putting it in a light where we're saying, hey, our love is sacred. Because a lot of the times when we see queer love, like even the New York, New Year's Eve in New York videos, there was a queer couple kissing, and then everybody was making it a big deal and like almost making it seem like two queer men kissing was disgusting, right? So for me, it was really important to have something that kind of puts that idea that our love is also sacred and our love is also something that people could celebrate. So that to me was a way to do a celebration of queer love and queer joy. And I also wanted it to have people who are Latinos, because we don't really see that in media. When you see it, it's usually either just white people or like just white people. And so I really wanted to have something that took that and showed different, like something that people could see and be like, oh, this is me. Like people could see themselves through it and see people who they see on the regular basis through it, right? Because even if to me, that shirt is not just a pride shirt. Like I very much feel like somebody who's not queer could also wear it, because I feel like it's also like an ally shirt in a way. And that's something I've been very adamant on as well, like having a shirt that is not just representative or just mask for mask or a lesbian couple, but everybody.
Wow, it's as you articulated the whole sacred part of the love thing, I think that's really as a queer person myself, being Latina, like it's been such a battle of just trying to feel okay with just being who I am, and there's this sort of layer that you tap into with this, and even as you describe it about the sacredness of like truly feeling like how everyone else typically feels about love, like, and now we have a chance to just feel like it's, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but you explained it very well about the sacred part of it. And I love that there's also apparel with La Virgen Maria.
Yeah.
Which is like, that's other intersectionality of like, it's so much ingrained in our culture, you know, and so you're intersecting all this. Your parents are a part of this, right? Like they are aware of this. So like that's a huge thing. I don't know if you feel comfortable talking about how you're, as a family, you collectively have supported this effort. I don't know if you want to touch on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a interesting question. Almost, I would kind of want to say weird, not because it's like a bad question to ask, but I think for me, I've been very adamant on not doing any, like, I've never came out, right? I don't believe in it for myself. Yeah. I think that it's something that other people really like to do, and that's great for them. But I think for me personally, almost like the shirt name, the idea of something sacred, we don't, as queer people, we don't get to have privacy. So that's also partially why I called it sacred love, because our love doesn't get to have that privacy. Like we always have somebody threatening to out you, or threatening to like hurt you because of who you are. So to me, and I think in the way that I've been able to manifest who I am and be who I am, is not actually, like, not saying, not taking it as something to like, how do you say it, like hide, but something that doesn't have to be hidden, but also something that doesn't have to be like addressed, right? Like, why would my identity have to be something that we're addressing constantly? Why does it have to be something that we're asking about when my siblings don't have to do the same thing, right? So to me, I think we don't acknowledge it, not because it's something that has to be acknowledged or not, but because it doesn't really matter. It's normalized, right? It's, I'm me, and that's how I am, and that's how my siblings are the way they are, so am I, right? So that's why I'm saying it's kind of almost a weird question, because we don't really think about it.
So we obviously have had this conversation offline. So I wanted to highlight this approach, because I think it's actually powerful. You know, like, I know that if I had grown up and I had met you, like if I was 15 and I met you and how you approached it, I'd be like, I'd feel empowered, right? Like, I think that I think it's very empowering what you're doing, you know, because you're you're taking all the learnings of prior generations and being like, wait a minute, like, hold up, like, this is a path. And so I think it's actually really admirable. You know, and I wish that, you know, I think it's a great direction to take a new generation of like being like, like, this is, yeah, duh. Like, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? I don't know. That's something where that comes to mind is like, yeah, duh. Like, because, because unfortunately, I mean, everyone has their own experience, but because of this coming out thing, like, there's such rooted shame and guilt that I've experienced. And damn, I wish I could have just been like, yeah, I like girls and what, you know, like, you know, I was not in a home. That's why I want to be curious about what your parents and you feel, because I unfortunately, you know, I love my family, but yeah, I grew up in a home where, you know, being gay and queer was like, it was a bad thing. And so I didn't have anyone to go to talk about this stuff. So I want to hear, everyone has different experience. So I want to hear about your experience.
I think it goes back with what Jack said. For us, it was just, there is no conversation because we're just like siblings. It's just a family. I think you said the word weird, and for me, it's like, well, I don't know what to tell you, because it's just like, and I just, it's like the same thing with my brother. You know, like my brother's my brother. Like, we're siblings. I think I don't even know how to answer that question, because our parents, I think it also has to do that our parents are pretty young. So my parents had me when I was 8, when I was not born. I was not born.
When you were 18, they had
my parents had
you came out of the womb adult.
I bet you didn't know that.
Yeah, I want to hear this story.
No, so my parents met when they were in their teens. Okay. They got married at 18. They had me at 19, and they're not even 50 yet. So they're pretty young. And so I don't think not that they're like perfect, right? But their ideologies are not as like the traditional ideologies. I think it goes back to like me not knowing how to cook. You know, sometimes they comment like, what do you mean you don't know how to cook? Our parents never raised us with that tradition, like those traditional roles. Like, you have to clean because you're this, you have to like help me with the car because you're this. Like, we really don't have those roles at
super
home.
Progressive. I love this. But this is how change happens. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is how change happens. Like, your parents are like, and you're like making that change, and you're opening new options for people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think that helped us like navigate the world, and also just be comfortable with just who we are.
Say that again.
I don't know what I said.
Comfortable with who we are.
Being comfortable with who we are.
That is such a like. It's funny because I feel like it's such a contradiction for people, right? It's like this idea of being comfortable with who you are. Like, I know, like, it's really hard for some people, right?
Right.
But to see people like the two of you, like, being so certain about like who you are and what impact you want to make, like, it is like, it's powerful.
Right.
It really is. And I think it speaks through the work that you're doing. So yeah, this is very cool. Like, I'm sitting here and I'm just like, wow, like this is very like inspiring.
Yeah, and I think it also talks about how like we continue healing the next generations, right? Because if we choose to have children, we'll try to kind of follow that lead of like not judging our kids or not trying to push certain things on them, because we are who we are. And I think that's why the question was hard for me to answer, because
that's a better wording. Hard for me to answer. Not weird.
I mean, it's I mean, it and that's, you know, I hope that, you know, we can that the narrative changes, you know, for sure. Like, I do.